This week on RF Download, some new transactions for PUBG, which of course everyone's not happy about. Some new stuff from AMD, some new specification of USB 3.2, and Corsair actually confirms a $525 million deal. I'm your host, Harry, and we're going through those topics for this week on RF Download. Roll the intro. First for this week is Corsair confirm a $525 million vested deal. Now, according to a lot of news reports, that they believe it's an acquisition deal, meaning that they're being acquired by another company. That's not the actual case. What Corsair has done, they actually did a new investment with another private company. This time is based on a New York private firm called Eagle Eye Capital. Now, I believe, according to Eagle Eye's investments, this deal will probably be their first time investing on a PC hardware or a software or technology company. So this is actually going to be very, very interesting in that stake. But in terms of the direction of Corsair is going, it'll be fine. I believe it'll be fine. I don't think there'll be some massive, reconstruction of the company and all stuff, things like that. Some of the minority shareholders on board, including the founder and CEO of Corsair, Andy Pohl, he will remain at the company with a sizable stake, so he'll be able to have some decisions with the direction of Corsair. Now, the previous investors they are with Francisco Partners, and they do actually have a large history of hardware and software investments, including Plex. And they have helped Corsair since its founding to get them to as they are today. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this sort of deal, because Corsair is our massive sponsors for RF LAN, and so it actually caught our attention just a little bit. So I thought we'd just sort of bring you up to date. Now, this transaction is expected to close within the next few months, and from there on, it will actually be a very, very interesting time for Corsair. As with business wise, as the Corsair itself, it will be going along the same path as before. Just think about if you're concerned about with this deal at all, just think about the TV show Silicon Valley, where Pied Piper just had investor after investor, but they still had the same idea, the same concept they want to try to achieve. So as with Corsair, nothing much will change anyways. Now, if you've been buying a lot of USB Type-C cables, well, there is a new specification for USB called USB 3.2. It's just been announced just last week. Now, this actually will work normally fine with USB Type-C, and effectively what it means for USB 3.2, that it will just be effectively doubling the transfer lines of USB 3.1. So basically, from 10 gigabits, it will be going up to 20 gigabits. Now, the only thing you have to worry about is your host and your device. So both ends will have to support that specifications in order to have that max 20 gigabit bandwidth. And of course, with using the same cables, you can still use the same Type-C cable, so nothing much here and there. Now, again, this is only just a specification. This is all being announced through as a white paper. So in terms of actually seeing the specifications on products in the near future, probably expect that for another 2 or 3 years. So if you happen to be buying some devices right now that do support 3.1, it's quick enough anyway. Now, again, as with this new bandwidth, it's still not as fast as Thunderbolt 3, but unlike Thunderbolt 3, USB Type-C has been a lot more successful in terms of market, not only market share, but this amount of devices that do support it. Effectively, is this a new specification that just enhances that cable. Just think about how the very first USB is going to improve here and there up to about USB 2.0 where you actually be able to use it very well for like portable hard drives back in the day. Of course, like those sort of speeds is very slow now, but yeah. Now we've got a lot of like stuff with AMD. So we're gonna start with like the most biggest news that actually just came out today. AMD has actually finally released some official specs and pricing for the upcoming AMD VEGA. Now they're actually going to be showing off with 3 SKUs. One of which is starting off with like a VEGA 56. Then after that is a VEGA 64. There is like a limited edition of the VEGA 64, but I'm not going to be talking about that. And also a liquid cool version of the VEGA 64. Start off with the specs with the AMD VEGA. Now all of these GPUs will support 8 gigabytes of HBM2 memory. This is like some really quick memory and based and still set within the same die as the GPU. So effectively, you're not really making a lot of space, which is good. Starting with the VEGA 56. Now this GPU will have 56 compute units, which equates to around about 3,584 stream processors. Has a base clock of 1156 megahertz, boost clock of 1471 megahertz. Going up to the VEGA 64, this, and of course with 64, that means 64 compute units, which equates to 4,096 stream processors. Has a base clock of 1247 megahertz, boost clock of 1546 megahertz. And then we actually have the liquid cool version. They're just pretty much just going to bump up the boost clock. So 1406 megahertz on liquid, and and of course 1677 megahertz. These sort of specs is really impressive, and also the price is going to be very competitive as well. As with the VEGA 56, it's going to be costing around about $399 US, which equates to around about $550 Australian. The VEGA 64, that's going to be costing around about $499 US, that equates to about $690 Australian. By the way, we are talking about including GST. And of course the 64 liquid cool version, that's going to cost about $699 US, which equates to about $960 Australian. So yeah, this is a really broad range, and particularly on the VEGA 56 and the VEGA 64 pricing, it is very competitive. Now the one thing that does worry me about the specs and also the pricing is the TDP, and it's going to be a little bit high, as in fairly higher than the NVIDIA equivalents. As with the VEGA 56, I believe that the TDP is going to be right about 195. I don't have any in mind, so I forgot to put that down. But on the VEGA 64, you could be looking at a TDP of 295 watts. While if you go on the liquid cool version, which is on higher clocks, you'll be looking around about 350 watt on your TDP. So yeah, it's going to be some really warm cards indeed. Now AMD is being very bold about their marketing at the moment. One of the pictures I saw was the new GPU King, just showing off like your VEGA 64. And it's just showing off like their teraflops performance, which is very vague. I don't like to query the teraflops performance at all. But yeah, they are trying to dethrone NVIDIA off the flagship cards. So hopefully they do. I'm not sorry to say hopefully they do, but hopefully they can prove that. So yeah. As with AMD as well, some interesting stuff with Ryzen Threadripper. Now, there was a recent video that was uploaded by this overclock enthusiast, which has a really strange name, which I'm going to get wrong anyway. I believe it's the Abra. I'll put the links down below of his name and stuff like that. But he actually decided to disassemble or delid a 16-core Threadripper 1950X CPU. This is like your top end 16-core 32-thread CPU, and it turns out there's some surprising stuff in it. Now, as you see in the pictures, it actually what you see is actually what believes to be 4 CPU dies instead of the instead of what we will believe was supposed to be 2. Now, which is actually going to be which is very interesting. Now, it seems to be according to Duraburo, and when he questioned AMD, AMD actually confirmed that this particular CPU, well, basically Threadripper, was configured with 2 working 8-core dies, while the other 2 cores, while the other 2 dies were disabled. So effectively, what this means that what we see with Ryzen Threadripper from these pictures is basically Ryzen's epic lines of like server CPUs. Unfortunately, that he couldn't be able to work out that these CPUs were that both of these 2 of the CPUs were disabled, or if they were running on 4 cores each. That after you put the heat spreader on, and try to get working with some temperature probes, it just failed to boot. So he actually basically killed it. As a side note with Threadripper, with AMD's thermal solution, that they just use a solder instead of using some sort of some thermal paste of some kind. This is what Intel has done. Now, regardless that the remaining 2 dies were disabled or or just some sort of spaces, but it looks like from looking at the heat spreader and from the actual pictures from the entire thing, those dies might be there just to prevent the heat spreader from warping around, which could mean bad news when you're trying to overclock or when things get a little bit hot down there. Now, I can actually see why that AMD has would actually make Threadripper as it is. So what would happen when you make these the CPU dies for the Rafa and actually put into a chip? What AMD would do? They will run a series of tests, see how well they perform. If they make specifications, they'll put up to that. If it doesn't, they'll keep doing tests up to a certain point, and from there on, they can decide where to bin this CPU as is. So it could be an Epic CPU, it could be like a Ryzen Threadripper CPU, or from there on. And this is very ingenious. So you're not spending much money on R&D. So you're not trying to make different designs of monolithic CPUs, like what Intel is doing with their i9s and i7s. They have different CPUs, different sort of CPUs for different range of products. And what AMD has been doing, they're effectively using the same Zen architecture and using the same CPU dies and pulling it into and working the best for them. So it will be going to Epic, it will be going to Ryzen Threadripper, or it could be going to the Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5, and from here on. Effectively, what AMD has made with the Ryzen architecture, or the Zen architecture, they've made a CPU die that fits everything for them. There was a video of this overclock enthusiast deleting the CPU, but has been taken down by AMD. But he did not. But he may bring it back online. But I'm not too sure. I just have to take his word for it, and also just have to take word from these pictures. But just something really cool, something really ingenious about AMD, how they're going at the moment. Last thing for today, and Bluehole actually announced some transactions for PUBG. Now, just hold on for a second for that. This is part of their monthly update, which will be coming out on 3rd of August. So, and along with some new features or new modes, so like a first-person server for solo and dual game modes, a field of view slider for the first-person view, a new rifle, of course. But there is something that has caught attention from a lot of people, and some of them are a little bit upset about. Now, part of the August 3rd update is 3 new crates, and all of them will offer cosmetic items based around very popular movies that will fit this sort of genre, including the Japanese classic Battle Royale. 2 of the crates, it's called the Wanderer crate and the Survivor crate, is going to be free. You just gotta spend your battle points. But the third one is the Gamescom Invitational Crate, and that will require a $2.50 key. Now, I didn't want to go into this news very deep. In fact, I'll probably just link. I'll just go and link a video to a really good YouTube channel, which I suggest you guys should check it out. And they actually talk about some, some in-depth info of PUBG, the way they're going and things like that. So I'll put the link down below. But it's expected anyway. I think. And from the get-go, when you start playing when you play the game, you're buying the crates, so that's one thing that should just pop up, and just be able to and all of these crates will offer cosmetic items. So, but it shouldn't really affect the actual gameplay at all. But I can see why that some people might be a little bit upset. During during early access, Blue Hole said they weren't going to do any sort of premium transactions. But this throws a bit of a little bit of conundrum in terms with the Gamescom Invitational Crate. Apparently, the sales of the $250 key will go towards the Gamescom tournaments and also for charity. Which is kind of weird because Blue Hole has made millions and millions of dollars through Steam sales alone. So I just don't really understand why there'll be any sort of premium transactions anyway. Again, watch this video. They talk more into it. They have a lot more experience than I do. But yeah, something to know about anyway. And that's it for RF Download. Now, if you do have any questions or there's anything you want me to focus on or you want to say something, leave a comment down below. As with RF Lan, we do have a Discord server, and you can jump onto that on discord.gg/RFLAN. As with LAN parties, RF Lan 59, that's happening on September 30th, and tickets will be available soon. And also, next weekend is World's LAN 80, and that will be a real fun, small LAN party. I'll be down there myself, along with some other volunteers. Tickets will be available for $15, and that is happening in Kiki, I think that's pronounced as like that, just around in the Rockingham area. As of always, you'll be watching RF Download, and I'll see you guys again next video.